All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, looks like the fallout from Concord is not just going to affect Sony, PlayStation, or Firewalk Studios. It looks like it's going to also be affecting the company that sold off Concord. Ironically, I am not sure why that is. I'm going to look into it with this article together with you guys today, but apparently a Concord insider believes that the original parent company, which is called Probably Monsters, if I'm not mistaken, will not survive the game's catastrophic failure.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, I am unsure as to what level of involvement Probably Monsters still has with Concord, considering they sold the game off to, Sony PlayStation. But I guess, they must still be involved to some extent if Concord's failure has affected them in any way. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, the most hilarious thing about this game is the fact that there are more people asking for this game to come back than there were people actually playing the game. And it's a common trope that happens within the modern audience, because what they do is they love to virtue signal. They love to go on Twitter and pretend like they're perfect human beings that have never done anything wrong, that don't have any skeletons in their closet, or don't want to talk about certain things. Like, they're just absolutely perfect human beings, and all they want to do is go on Twitter and project that level of virtue to everybody else that they feel are beneath them. But at the end of the day, they don't actually support or play or watch anything that they say that they care about, right? They don't care about watching TV shows that are made for them. They don't care about playing video games that are made for them. Very few people actually end up playing it that are part of the modern audience, because most of these bad games get played by streamers. They want to showcase to everybody else in the world just how bad they are. It says a Concord insider alleges that the game's original parent company, Probably Monsters, will not survive the game's catastrophic failure that saw it get shut down by Firewalk Studios and PlayStation in less than 2 weeks after its initial release, due to a lack of players. If you recall, PlayStation and Firewalk Studios shut down Concord back in September, with Firewalk Studios game director Ryan Ellis announcing on PlayStation blog, "At this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options, including those that will better reach our players." He also shared that the company will be offering full refunds. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PS5 from the PlayStation Store or direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method immediately. Then this announcement came after the game failed to attract any kind of substantial player base. And just to remind people, Concord ended at 697 concurrent players with a heart rate that was dropping extremely quickly. This game was dying, and it was, well, let's just be real, it was dead out the gate. But the game was dying even with the people who were playing the game. It only took about 10 days for it to go from 697 players to about 30 to 50 any given time, right? And this is why this game absolutely collapsed. It also didn't play well on PlayStation either. The maximum amount of people that bought this game is somewhere around 800 to 900 people, according to PSN profiles. So then the game bombed out of the gate, landing in the 147th most popular PlayStation game on the store. Then we go into here, and it says it went on to reveal that Probably Monsters, the original owner of Firewalk Studios and Concord, before selling to PlayStation Studios, Sony, and the game's original investors, had spent $200 million on the game before it even made it to its alpha state. Moriarty said up to the point of the game went to alpha state, they had already spent $200 million on it. It's unclear how much of that money is from Probably Monsters and the original investors into the game, and how much of that was from Sony. Then it says that a Concord insider has told That Park Place that he does not believe that Probably Monsters will survive moving forward, albeit he does think that there are some people who might be able to salvage the company and thread the needle, but only time will tell. He also noted that the morale at the company is horrifically low. Now, again, guys, think about this for a second. Just think about this for a second. What do you really think they're talking about in the studio? You think they're talking about how much the game failed? Do you think they're really talking about how bad the game performed? I'm talking about from a developer standpoint. I'm not talking about from an executive or higher up or like Sony suits. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about from the developer standpoint. Do you really think they're looking at each other and saying, wow, this game really bombed. It didn't resonate with anybody. What could we have done different? Blah, blah, blah. I really don't think that. I don't think that that's what's happening over at Firewalk Studios. I don't think that's what's happening over at Probably Monsters. And I damn sure don't think that's what's happening over at PlayStation on the ground level. What I think is happening at the ground level is they're looking at each each other and saying, these damn gamers, these damn gamer gators, it's all their fault Concord failed. It's because of the YouTubers. It's because of the people on Twitter and X. It's because of everybody else talking bad about the game that the game absolutely failed. It's not our fault. We put out the best game we could have possibly put out. They have no accountability whatsoever. They're going to point the finger at us, and they're going to blame us every single time their projects fail, especially when it's this big, right? This is not a small failure. This is a massive failure. This is probably one of the biggest failures in entertainment gaming history. Seriously, that's not a joke. That's not like, we're not making it up. Just you already know that because they had to refund everybody. So that means this game made no money, and all the money that was invested in it, whether it was 200 million, 400 million, it doesn't matter. All the money that was invested in this game has officially been lost because they didn't sell a single copy and they didn't get to keep any money from the sales because they refunded everyone. So ultimately, this game was a massive failure, and it doesn't matter how much they want to blame us. At the end of the day, your product will stand for itself, right? We can talk about your product, and sometimes we get it wrong, like 5-10% of the time we get it wrong, admittingly, but 90% of the time we get it right. But ultimately, it doesn't matter whether we get it right or wrong. It really just depends on whether or not your game stands out in the market and succeeds. The market is going to decide whether they buy your game or not. The gamer gators are not going to decide. They've already made their decision. The modern audience is not going to decide because they also have made the same decision, which was not to buy your game, by the way. They will, the market will decide what's going to happen with your video game. So all this complaining about us and what we do and what we say and all this stuff, at the end of the day, man, that shit doesn't matter. All that matters is the conversation is moving, right? We are talking about certain things. And of course, our conversation around what you guys are doing has absolutely swayed the opinions of some. There's no doubt about it. But most of those people didn't need to necessarily get swayed. What it was is that they resonated with what we were saying because they were already believing that from the get-go. They just didn't realize that so many people also believe the same exact thing. They thought they were alone until they found our YouTube video. So you can try to silence us. You could try to do everything you want to try to call us all kinds of names, bigots, phobes, racists, whatever. But at the end of the day, none of that crap matters. Literally none of it. It has lost all power. It has lost all meaning. And I need you guys to understand something. A lot of YouTubers don't care if they ultimately get demonetized because they will find a way to go get monetized elsewhere. It doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, stop blaming everybody else for your problems. And I am sure they're doing that exact same thing. And look, you have an example here really quick before we end the video. Firewalk Studios concept artist Amanda Kiefer, if you guys remember that video I made, previously revealed that employees at Firewalk Studios were terrified of the future. Again, they're not talking about how the game failed. They're too busy worried about themselves and what's going to happen to their jobs and whatnot. But they weren't worried about that for the last 8+ years while they were developing this game for the modern audience. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.